In western Guangdong lived a man named Sun Zichu, a local scholar known more for his odd ways than his intellect. He was born with 6 fingers and had a stiff, old-fashioned personality. Honest to a fault, he was a kind of person who could be fooled with the simplest trick. If he saw a singing girl at a banquet, he would turn red and flee. People made fun of him, even setting him up for pranks involving courtesans. His bashful reaction became legendary, earning him the nickname Foolish Sun. There was a wealthy merchant in the county with a stunning daughter named Abao. Suitors from rich and noble families came day after day, but none satisfied her father. One day, after being widowed, Sun Zichu was egged on by jokers to propose marriage to Abao. To everyone's surprise, especially his own, he agreed. The matchmaker went to the merchant, but the man, having heard of Sun Zichu's reputation, dismissed him due to his poverty. Just then, Abao happened to walk by and, hearing the story, joked, "If he cuts off his 6th finger, I'll marry him." The matchmaker relied her words. Sun Zichu, without hesitation, chopped the finger off with an axe. Blood gushed. He nearly died. A few days later, barely recovered, he showed the wound to the matchmaker. Abao was shocked, yet not entirely serious. She added, "Then he should stop being such a fool, too." Sun Zichu, deeply wounded, protested that he wasn't truly foolish, but there was no way to explain it to her face. He began to wonder if Abao was really worth all the trouble and slowly gave up the idea of marrying her. But fate wasn't done. During the Qing festival, when local women would go out on spring outings, young men gathered to watch and flirt. Sun Zichu's friends dragged him along and teased, "Don't you want to see your beloved?" Although he knew they were mocking him, he went anyway, curious to see Abao with his own eyes. From afar he saw a beautiful woman resting under a tree, surrounded by admirers. "That must be Abao," they said. Up close she was indeed stunning beyond words. As the crowd thickened, she rose and left. Everyone sighed with admiration, except Sun Zichu. He stood frozen, unmoving. When others called to him, he didn't respond. Back home, he collapsed into bed, unresponsive like a man in a trance. His family thought his soul had left him. Then asked, he murmured, "At Abao's house." No one could understand. As it turned out, when Abao left that day, Sun Zichu's spirit followed her, nesting in her very robes. He followed her home, unseen, and stayed with her day and night, longing and famished. Meanwhile, Abao began having vivid dreams of a man holding her. She asked his name. "Sun Zichu," he answered. She woke, puzzled and disturbed, but told no one. After 3 days, when Sun Zichu still unresponsive, his family begged the merchant to allow a soul-summoning ritual. Reluctantly, the merchant agreed. When the priest called for Sun Zichu's soul in Abao's bedroom, Sun Zichu suddenly began growing in bed. Upon waking, he described Abao's room in exact details. Every trinket, color, and scent. Abao was moved. Something in her heart shifted. Even so, Sun Zichu couldn't stop thinking about her. On the Buddha bathing festival, he heard Abao was visiting a temple. He waited along the road. As her carriage passed, she lifted the curtain to peek at him. Their eyes met. His heart trembled. She sent a maid to ask his name. He answered, trembling. When he returned home, he fell ill again. He stopped eating, muttering her name in dreams. One day, a parrot he had kept for years died. A child placed it on his bed to play. He thought, if only I could become this bird, I'd fly to her. And just like that, he transformed into the parrot and flew to her window. Abao caught him gently and kept him, feeding him seeds. The bird whispered, "Sister, don't lock me up, I'm Sun Zichu." She gasped and released him. But he stayed. "To be close to your fragrance is enough," he said. he only ate from her hand, perched on her lap, or by her pillow. On the third day, she sent someone to his home. They found his body cold, dead for 3 days, but his heart was still warm. Hearing this, Abao wept and made a vow, "If you become human again, I'll be your wife till death." The parrot replied, "Don't lie to me." She swore it again. The bird seemed to be pondered. Then suddenly it grabbed her embroidered shoe and flew away. At that moment, Sun Zichu awoke at home. The shoe dropped beside him, the parrot dead at his feet. He picked it up and said, "This is her pledge. This shoe is my wedding vow." When Abao told her parents, her mother sighed. "He was talent, yes, but he's so poor, we will be laughed at." But Abao refused all other matches and vowed to marry him, even if it meant living in poverty. They married, and their love was so deep and real. Her dowry helped stabilize the household, but Sun Zichu remained obsessed with books and never managed the finance. Abao took charge, and within 3 years they became wealthy. Sadly, Sun Zichu later fell ill with a wasting disease and died. Abao was inconsolable. She starved herself and tried to hang herself at night. Though rescued, she still refused to eat. On the third day, when people went to prepare his funeral, they heard movement inside the coffin. "He was alive again," he said. "In the underworld, the king of hell praised my honesty and made me a clerk. But when he heard my wife had fasted for 3 days and was coming to join me, he was moved by her devotion and allowed me to return." Later, as he prepared for the imperial exams, some pranksters gave him 7 obscure topics to study, claiming they were real questions. He studied them with all his heart. By coincidence or fate, the examiners used the exact topics to avoid plagiarism. Sun Zichu came out on top, later earning a position in the prestigious Hanling Academy. The emperor heard his story, rewarded him, and also honored Abao. What draws me to this story is its dreamlike intensity, the way it explores longing, distance, and the strange magnetism of unresolved love. It's not a straightforward romance. Rather, it's about emotions so powerful they define boundaries, even the boundary between the physical and spiritual. The moment when Sun Zichu's spirit follows Abao home is both poetic and eerie. On one hand, it illustrates how love can leave the body, become hunger, become presence, become shadow. On the other, it brushes against something that feels intrusive and uncomfortable. I like that tension. It makes the story feel emotionally real, even though it's wrapped in the fantastical. Pu Songling doesn't deal in idealized courtship. His stories often live in the strange space where desire and fate tangle together, and this one is no exception. Abao's vivid dreams, her confusion, and her silence all say more than declarations ever could. The story lingers in the space between knowing and not knowing, wanting and fearing. So no, it's not a perfect love story, but it makes the emotional streak feel supernatural. And I think that's exactly the point. Some feelings are so intense, they seem to summon ghosts.